What is up, homies? Welcome back to the trailer reaction from Heroes Reforged. We're watching the brand new teaser for Lanterns, the second teaser. Hopefully this one has more green so we don't have to listen to people complain about how the Lantern show has it's anti-green. It got no green in it. Oh man, it's too funny.
But to your point though, Adam, just real quick before we jump into this, like I was thinking about it and I'm like, okay, I don't know exactly what specific marketing does. I don't work in that industry. Like I don't track those numbers, whatever those metrics are, whatever that like how these companies like view that stuff. But it did feel like as a fan, HBO was like, hey, we want to market this as True Detective. We want to get dads who don't like comic book shit to watch this and go, I'm gonna have to check that out. Like, oh, that looks really good. The guy from Rebel Ridge and Coach Taylor, like, I'm gonna have to check this out. Friday Night Lights, like, I'm in. But I wonder how well that works before those dads like realize what they're watching and realize what they click on, and that it's in the DC tab of HBO Max, and that it's, you know, before they go, oh, I don't know if I'm into this, and then the show will suck them in or they bail or whatever. All of this to say, like, was it worth it to put out a trailer like that was really holding back on the comic bookiness, knowing that comic booky fans are going to talk about it online versus, you know, I don't even know where else dads are seeing trailers. Do they go to YouTube? Like, I don't, like, they're watching it during the game.
Most of the dads are us. They're us. They know what Green Lantern is. Man, they're not completely oblivious to what the hell this is.
Listen, if it were me and I were in marketing, I would have done a very like full bore, this is Green Lantern with all the cosmic stuff, with that killer first trailer. And then I would have cut all these TV spots that feel like they're like Longhorn or, you know, that feel like one of these like Longmire shows. And then you just run those TV ads during the games. That's it. So that all the dads are like, I'm gonna have to check that out, and all of their family are like, really?
In the Midwest? I gotta see me what that's about.
I don't know, but you know, I'm dumb. But I've always known that the people behind the show love these characters, and yes, of course, I'm excited to see aforementioned comic book stuff. But like, I'm confident that these characters are going to be well taken care of. There was some new info. I don't know if it is something you know, Adam. Maybe we can talk a bit about it after we watch this trailer. I don't want to spoil the trailer, but there was some new information that was released, I think, from James Gunn directly, maybe somebody else. Cool. So we're going to talk about that after this trailer. So yeah,
very cool. We're also going to have all the uncut reactions on our Patreon when the show comes out in August. So make sure you guys check that out. We're watching a bunch of other shows, and let's just get into this trailer. You ready?
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
All right. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, go.
This ring, it's the greatest weapon in the universe.
Oh, already off the bat?
When and how to use it, that's the whole ball game, Junior.
You picked to use it.
Oh my God.
Did you just use that ring to counterfeit money? No.
Jesus Christ.
Tell me how you got it. The ring.
You know how I got it. I sure as hell didn't interview for it.
Oh,
nice.
Maybe you should have. Power like that, shouldn't you have to work for it?
I've been doing this since you were a baby. And the only way you're gonna get this ring is over my dead fucking body.
Don't say that.
I think he likes me. Everybody is lying to us.
We're not leaving here until we find out what they're hiding. Danger's part of the job. You need to be fearless.
Oh my God.
You've chosen for this.
It's only one question. Are you afraid?
Oh, he's in his Green Lantern outfit.
Publicly, yep.
Ooh.
Are you afraid?
That's the theme. Hey, guy.
Are you afraid?
Emmy Award winner Kyle Chandler.
Are you afraid?
Mm-hmm.
Are you afraid?
Yo, dude, what?
Oh, damn.
So good.
I was raised fearless, and I'll do this better than he's ever done it before.
Then go and get it, John Stewart.
Oh, dang. That's very cool. That was a really good second teaser.
Yeah, a lot to unpack there. I love that Hal has been doing this since John was a kid. Like, you know, CG aging Kyle Chandler a little bit, like no gray in the temples, like that classic young Hal Jordan look. Yeah, it's I still understand why the suit is not as comic booky as it could be, but I still think we haven't gotten quite like a great hero shot and a great look at the suit. And I'm also sure John's suit is going to rule. Like, I think it's going to be a part of that sort of like, I'll do it better than he ever did kind of a thing. I don't know. Okay. What were your thoughts? And then I want to get into something that we learned and how I think how that's going to factor into everything. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a really, really good teaser. And I do think that this teaser would have been hard to do from the get, because I would imagine that a lot of this visual effects stuff was not done yet. So I, in some ways, understand why they held some of this stuff for later. But I do think that this definitely, that first teaser was more True Detective. It was a little bit more grounded. This definitely feels more now like this space sci-fi cop drama. I loved seeing Kyle Chandler in the suit. And I know that there were some gripes about the way the suit looked. But you have to, again, think back to how long he's been Green Lantern. You have to assume that the style of these superhero costumes has evolved since, let's say, the 90s, if he's been around since the 90s. You know, so I like the fact that this is going to be, you know, the 90s version of Green Lantern in the modern era. But then John Stewart, I would assume, when he becomes Green Lantern, he's going to have something that's a little bit more sleek, a little bit more modern. That's my hope, at least, that he's not going to have just the exact same suit that Hal Jordan had. But I love that we're going to get glimpses into young John Stewart, and that he'll have already known who Hal Jordan obviously is.
Yeah.
The thing that surprised me, I think, the most is the fact that it looks like we're going to see Hal Jordan basically revealing his identity, maybe to the world.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. But I think this was an awesome second teaser trailer.
Yeah, dude. I think you're right. I feel like it lands even more of that, like, what is this mystery? And also, frankly, too, I'm really sick and tired of the people that we know exactly what they want when they say shit like, oh, leave the politics out of it. Why are you finding race in things where race doesn't exist? It's like John Stewart's black, Hal Jordan's white. Those are defining things about those characters and in defining in comic book history and in the move of progression in comic book history and of representation. And for you to make a show like this and show all these like white cowboy looking guys pointing guns at John Stewart, are you stupid? Do you think that's accidental? Like, do you think that these writers and producers don't have anything to say about, you know, the United States right now, or about our history, or tying it
let us not
back
forget,
to
this is from Damon Lindelof, who did the Watchmen TV series.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So I see that, and it does like personally or emotionally impact me, as it's supposed to, because you go, oh, this makes me think of this, even though we're in a comic book fantasy world. The point of DC Comics, the point of Marvel Comics, the point of any superhero story is that it's supposed to be talking about what we are, what we're dealing with. Obviously, since the beginning, since 1938, since Superman Action Comics #1, just go back and read comic books and understand the context in which they came out in. But for me, I think that the thing that I'm very excited about is some of the info that we learned are that the show's going to have two different time periods. The show's going to have this period where Hal Jordan is training John, and then it's going to be, which is supposed to be like 10 years ago during 2016. And then it's supposed to be in the present day, 2026, dude. Yes. So people are already speculating like, oh my God, does Hal die? Does Hal become evil and become Parallax, or, you know, destroy the Green Lantern Corps? Things that he did in comic book history that have not been, which is like, by the way, it is wild if this show or this new DC universe does that, because to me, in my opinion, as great as it was to have Hal come back after that storyline and sort of be the main Green Lantern going forward and be involved in stories like Blackest Night or the Sinestro Corps War or those really cool, big, epic things, I think it is so wild and so smart to actually set up Hal to do some of that Parallax stuff, because it led to Kyle Rayner, because it led to, you know, how the rest of the characters in the DC universe, Superman, Batman, all these characters responded to that. And it was a defining character moment. And could Hal still come back from that? Yes, in a way. But for me, it's like, it's similar to like Jean Grey and Phoenix and the tragedy that the Phoenix did. Like, it's so defining for that character to try to do X-Men movies and never talk about the Phoenix. It's like, well, you're missing out on a huge part of Jean Grey for me. I feel the same way about the Parallax storyline, the Emerald Knight storyline with Hal. And I think that to butt it up against John first when he's like training and being new, and then to do like a flash forward in time where emphasis on the pun flash, where you have 10 years later and John is the established hero and maybe Superman has only been around for 2-3 years. Like, that's a really interesting dynamic that even John Stewart will have even more years under his belt than Clark. But it's just so cool because this show may already be skipping to what for me would be like the dream long-term storyline stuff to do with Hal. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just love the legacy of Hal and John Stewart and Guy Gardner being a part of the mix. And that also makes sense, Adam, as to why that first teaser was like, I'm the only human, because Guy wasn't even a Green Lantern yet. That's what in the past was. That's what the 2016 was. And then they're still dealing with this storyline or this mystery or whatever it is 10 years later. So knowing that, I think rewatching this trailer, it's I just can't wait to see how the show could play with time. So many great like prestige genre TV shows have played with time in this way. I mean, we watched Game of Thrones last year, House of the Dragon, and it did like a time jump. And it's great to see like which characters and actors will still be, it's still going to be all the same actors, I'm sure, but like, how is the world going to change? Is it going to be in the past, it's just Hal and John, but then in the present day, 2026, you got Guy Gardner in the mix. You got, Sinestro has turned evil. I don't know what else could have changed in that time. But just as like a lore whore, I'm just dying to know what they're going to do in the DC universe, what they're going to map out and go, here's what happened then, here's what's happening now. And just to get us closer to some of that more epic stuff, like Hal potentially being manipulated by Parallax, but also could this lead to him coming back as a hero, them doing Blackest Night, the Sinestro Corps, then Blackest Night, then Brightest Day. Like, there's so much that this just feels like they know exactly what they're doing. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
That's the exciting thing. They know exactly what they're doing. I'm so excited about that.
I agree. And I think also the nice thing about setting the bulk of the story in the past is that it just allows you the freedom to be able to introduce characters whenever you want in the DC universe. Just because we had Creature Commandos, Peacemaker Season 2, and Superman doesn't mean that everything that comes after that has to necessarily like establish their origin in that in that universe at that time. Like, Batman could have already existed, Green Lantern could have already existed, The Flash could have already existed, Wonder Woman, etc., etc., etc. So I think that's a really fun spin and a fun take and a fun way to give us, partially the origin of at least John Stewart, to see how Hal Jordan incorporates into it. But then we do a time jump, and like you were saying, John Stewart is already a seasoned Green Lantern. He's been around, and for whatever reason, he's not on Earth now during the events of Superman. So if the movie, and this could also tie into Man of Tomorrow, because we do know that Aaron Pierre is in that film as John Stewart. So I think that now, when you think about those elements and those factors, that now is like, okay, there was a reason why Hal Jordan and John Stewart are not on Earth during the events of Superman. And if Man of Tomorrow is obviously dealing with Brainiac, that's a perfect way to bring John Stewart back to Earth, to now have multiple lanterns on Earth because of the threat. So I think now all of these like chess pieces start to make a little bit more sense, because as fans, we look at just what is available to us and we go, well, why is Guy Gardner the only Green Lantern on Earth if we've already have Hal Jordan and John Stewart? What does that mean for the story?
Yeah, man.
So I think it's cool to just see these chess pieces slowly moving across the board and moving into alignment. And now a lot of that stuff is going to start to make sense. So I think that's really, really cool. And I'm also, I think like any other fan, excited to see what other lanterns could show up in the show. And they don't necessarily have to be a part of this story that's set in 2016 in Nebraska. We obviously see that Hal Jordan is held in some containment thing that, he's, and there's a character in front of him. I don't think that's supposed to be Sinestro, but, we'll wait to see who that ends up being. But it'll be interesting to see who that is and what other little glimpses into the Green Lantern Corps we will get through this show. It may be minimal, which is fine, because I think the bulk of the story is going to be about Hal Jordan and John Stewart's relationship and how John Stewart becomes Green Lantern. But I still think to have those little flares, the little flavor of the greater universe. Plus, also, like, we may get insight into what the DC universe is like at that point. You know, Superman has not been around yet because he's only been around for 3 years in the movie. So I think it'll be really cool to see what other characters. And it's just a mention, right? Like on the TV, you can mention, like, maybe there already is a Batman. Maybe there already is a Booster Gold. Like, we don't know. But I think just having little glimpses of that. And it'll also obviously be a cool way to tee up things that could be coming in the future. But in terms of this, like, I still love that they're keeping the mystery aspect of it hidden. I don't want there to be like another official trailer that's 2.5 minutes long that is now like, okay, now we're going to explain what the story is. Like, keep as much of that a mystery as possible, because I think that's what is exciting about this show is we know the core element will be Hal and John. And I don't need to necessarily be super sold on what they're doing other than investigating something. Dude. Like, I like going into it knowing as little as possible, but we'll see if that stays that way or if they'll drop more tidbits. Maybe they'll find a way to work it in where it's not revealing too much, but just enough.
Right. You have been tingling my jingles right now because if they, I swear to God, dude, if they tease like Kyle Rayner in any way, who is like the Lantern that I grew up with, if they tease him in any way, again, maybe doesn't even become Green Lantern, but he's just a normal civilian or something.
Yeah.
There's so much to expand with this world. Like when people talk about how the Green Lantern corner of the DC universe is actually so huge, it's real. Like there's so many characters and there's so many stories that they can do. But dude, talking about how, like, I love Hal. He is one of the best comic book characters ever. He's like a proto Han Solo. But in the same way that Luke Skywalker, I think, rubs off on Han Solo and makes Han a better man because of how heroic Luke is, I want to see this Hal Jordan operate as Green Lantern, like you said, maybe since the 90s. And then I don't know if he's going to die or if he's still going to be alive in 2026. But if he is alive, even the presence of Superman, Clark, how his heroism can affect Hal and go, you know what, maybe I was doing things a little wrong. And you know, even John's presence, like I want to see some of that kind of cocky, heroic, like rogue type of a thing for Hal and how he changes with the changes in the world around him and what ultimately his legacy is going to be. It could be darker, but it's like, even if it goes there, you can always kind of come back from that. But all of the stuff is making me so excited to see this show, dude. The space stuff, it looked like it was like Christopher Reeve's Superman Krypton, like that icy planet that you see a little shot of. Like all of that stuff looks so great. And I'm just so excited to get to John Stewart and like everything you're saying, Adam, like how is this going to tie into Man of Tomorrow? I mean, we already know that Clayface, the movie, is supposed to take place before Creature Commandos. So there's already a little bit of shuffling in the timeline or whatever based off of the release stuff.
Yeah.
But we have heard that like for the most part, DC Studios does want to have not a confusing timeline. And like every time something comes out, that's the order in which you're supposed to sort of see it, right? I mean, I think Marvel also attempts that for the most part, but there's stuff that's, you know, that gets shuffled around or whatever. Right. And I think there's stuff that you can shuffle around to just make it a little bit more enjoyable. But dude, if this really like, this is coming out after Supergirl, correct?
Yeah. Supergirl comes out June. This comes out in August.
Bro. This is, my gosh. And then Man of Tomorrow's next year, 2027.
Next July.
That is very exciting, dude. Next July. So like it could take something from Supergirl, but then also lead into, you know, and look, at the end of the day, the most important thing, and we were kind of having this conversation with the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, is that it needs to operate as its own thing. Of course, obviously. I'm just excited as a fan and as a fanboy and as a fan man, grown man, that like, the people behind the scenes here, they know all of this shit. They know more than I do. They know as much as I do. They have the same fandom. So like, if there's an opportunity for them to go, hey, I'll give you an example. Like if Hal is going to be an older character than, let's say, Superman and maybe Batman, what do you gain? What do you lose? Right? You lose some of that classic Silver Age, like super friends, like, oh, all the classic lineup of superheroes are around the same age and they're all peers and buddies and whatever. But for me, I think the biggest loss, so to speak, is a relationship between Hal and Barry Allen Flash. But if they establish that Barry, whatever version of the DC universe Barry is all, dude, stop. I'm already like, that's the coolest shit I want to, if those two are the dudes,
you're
if they're
opening it
the
up to
dudes,
characters like Wally West and everything.
That's exactly what I'm saying, bro. And if DC Studios is going, listen, we love Hal, we love Barry, but like, what if it's not necessarily their time? You know, like in their prime was back in the day, was in the 90s or early 2000s, and now we've got Jon Stewart, Kyle Rayner, Guy Gardner, unfortunately, but also like Wally West and potentially other Flash characters. And, you know, I'm going to lose my mind because
well, here's the thing too.
It also feels.
Well, the only other thing I was going to say was the other opportunity, the potentiality is like a couple years down the line, you could go back and do a 90s set Hal Jordan Green Lantern show. You can do a buddy show with Flash and Green Lantern with Barry Allen and Hal Jordan. Like that's I think what it opens it up to, the potential of doing. And those shows could plant seeds for things that end up happening in future movies, right? Like you could, you don't have to, but you could. So yeah, it's in that way, it's kind of limitless.
Earth's and again, it's like the CW had limited access to certain characters and certain things. And I think the CW made fans believe that Barry Allen and Oliver Queen were the guys.
Sure,
and it's like, actually, the CW could not do a Green Lantern TV show. They tried. They were trying to do stuff and they tried for years to kind of plug stuff in and kind of get there. Just like budget-wise, could not. Like physically could not. It's really Barry and Hal. That's the relationship. And also Hal and Ollie, Hal and Oliver Queen. If Oliver Queen is in this show and he's also older, bro, same thing. It's like, get to the legacy of the DC characters. That is, in my opinion, one advantage they have over Marvel is that they have so many fantastic. Look, Marvel's got some great legacy characters too, dude. Miles Morales, Kamala Khan, I love these characters. To a degree, Carol Danvers is a legacy character. But like, DC has so many fantastic characters. And if you tell me that like Jon Stewart and Wally West are going to be in this new iteration of the Justice League with Hawk Girl, Martian Manhunter, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, that's the animated Justice League. I'm ascending, bro. That's the dream. That's the dream team. You know, and just like you said, still do something. Can you imagine if season 2 of Lanterns, a couple of years out, was like flashbacks with Barry and Hal in like back in time, and then in the present, it's Jon Stewart and Wally West, and they're like having to reluctantly team up because they're like, well, our predecessors were best friends. I don't necessarily get along with you, dude. You know, we're obligated. And Wally's like, yeah, you're not really, this isn't how I do stuff. They're so different. But then to have a Wally and Jon Stewart friendship, and also to a degree, Wally and Kyle Rayner were the new kids on the block. They were like kids. They were young, right? Wally, dude, because Wally was Kid Flash. Imagine if they set that up where they have a kid actor who's like, no, I'm like 13 and I'm Kid Flash in 2016. And then 10 years later, he's a 23-year-old and he's like, I'm the Flash. Because Barry died. Like, I'm ascending, dude. That's the coolest shit they could do. And I feel like we're not prepared, you know? I feel like we're not prepared. So
yeah. Well, I think all that potentiality makes it really exciting because it is a very different approach. I think before, the sort of mandate from DC was we gotta beat Marvel at their own game, even though like the train had already left the station years ago. You are just playing catch up at that point. Now you just got to do something different. Don't do the same thing. Don't worry about getting to the Justice League. You'll get there. You will get there.
Yeah.
But figure out a fun, creative, innovative way that it hasn't been done before by your competitors that can pull in audiences, make them love these characters, make them love this universe. So whenever you announce a new project, people are excited. Make the Flash A-list, make Green Lantern A-list, make Booster Gold A-list. You know, I think people generally, because of the movies, regardless of how you feel about them, like there are now Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman fans because of those previous films. And Batman obviously and Superman because they've had legacies of movies. But I think like now people are itching for more of that stuff. Jesus, man, bring in Firestorm. Like bring in all these amazing characters that we grew up loving in Super Friends, Challenge of the Super Friends, the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited cartoons.
Oh,
like the DC universe is Adam, so huge.
I am convinced, and you cannot convince me otherwise, that James Gunn will do a Legion of Doom versus the Justice League.
It's gonna happen.
We're getting Brainiac. We've already got Nicholas Hoult, Lex Luthor, he is at the age where he could play Lex Luthor for 10, 15 years.
Totally.
You don't cast a youngish actor to play Luthor unless you're like, okay, we need some runway. We're longevity. We need to bring in all these other characters. We need to get to a point where one of these movies introduces a Solomon Grundy. Like that's to the degree where they're going to go.
Gorilla Grodd, and then they will team up. Do it,
bro. bro, Captain Cold, Cheetah, Toyman, like Riddler, like they're going to do it. They're going to do it. And it will be, I think it's going to be John and Wally on the Justice League again with Shayera, with Hawk Girl. It's going to be so, and then she's going to betray the Justice League to the Thanagarians. It's going to be so sick, dude. And Batman's going to punch Guy Gardner in the face, and it's going to be the best. It's going to be so great, you know. Man, I can't. And then you got Laura Linney
it's going to be so good. I'm rewatching this.
Get it to Jon Stewart. Go and get it. Dude,
I know.
Let's go.
So good. I'm rewatching the teaser, and there is one moment that, and I feel like this is in here on purpose to maybe mislead, but you have the shot of the jets flying overhead, and then literally the next shot is a soldier saluting a woman and a child. And I'm like, oh man, could this be Hal Jordan's funeral moment? But maybe Hal Jordan
well, listen, it's his dad.
Dead.
It's his dad. That's true. But that also makes me think of that kind of classic, like when Green Lantern came back in the comics with Green Lantern Rebirth, they really nailed down this Hal Jordan origin and really added the tragedy to this Silver Age character, the same way they did with Barry, when they sort of retroactively said Barry lost his mom, and that's why he became a forensics cop. Like he wanted to solve his mom's murder, unsolved, and then tied it in with the Reverse Flash and all that great stuff. Hal's thing became, I saw my dad die in a jet test plane crash, and he was the most fearless pilot.
True.
And when he saw that as a child, it's like, that's going to mess you, and that's going to shape you to be this kind of a guy. That
and that's very
also,
well what this could be.
He still wanted to chase being a pilot after that. Like, what kind of a man does that? A fearless man, a Hal Jordan, right? The man who will become the first Earth Green Lantern. Unless, again, they established that Alan Scott did it in the 40s, like, which would also be so sick, dude. If they did something, come on, Adam. Bro, come on, dude. If an Alan Scott appears in this as an old man, dude, I'm done. And he's buddies with Jay Garrick. Dude, I'm ascending. Hang on. I'm ascending right now. In brightest day and blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evils might be where my power Green Lantern's light.
Oh my God.
Ascension.
Clearly,
ascending.
We're very excited for this show. Ooh, it's going to be a good time.
Very excited.
Very good time. And obviously, like the crew making it, they know what they're doing. They love comic books. They're into all this same shit that we are. So I think
I never had a doubt.
I know. I think we're living in a very special time, and I'm hoping, because I know that sometimes when things are announced, like, oh, the Authority movie's not moving forward, and people get really upset about it. First of all, how many of those people actually ever read an Authority comic book? I have not, so I don't know anything about the Authority. That is like a completely like blank space for me. So I'm not upset about them figuring out, or at least like acknowledging that some projects just will not work right now. And we'll get to it maybe later on. Like for me, it's like prioritize stuff that you feel really good about, that in your mind, at least in this moment, feels like it's going to deliver something really special to fans, and then move forward on that 100%. Stuff. Like if Clayface is a part of 100%. That, and it feels like a very last minute thing, hey, you know what? The product is going to have to speak for itself, and we're going to go see it. And if we think it, and if it is good, then great. Acknowledge that it's great. So I'm just looking forward to seeing everything that they're doing, because I'm going to go into everything just very open-minded, right? Because like at this point, as DC fans, we have nothing to lose. We've dealt with so many ups and downs over the last 40 years of some movies being made, other movies not being made, universes expanding and then contracting and then erasing things and moving things, shuffling around. So just let me have it. Let me see where we end up in 10 years.
I just want to say, and I don't think this is an exaggeration, and I don't think I'm like Babe Ruth calling a home run that's actually not the case. I truly believe this, and I think you feel the same way, Adam. It does feel, as a DC fan, for the first time that we actually have the DC universe at play. Now, do I know exactly which movies we're going to get? No, but the franchise itself, the DC universe, the fact that we're getting Clayface, we've had Creature Commandos, Peacemaker, Superman, Supergirl, Lanterns, and so on. It feels like this is the universe where anything is possible. It's not something where certain stories wouldn't work because it's like, oh, that doesn't really tonally fit. That's not the case. I feel basically the same way about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that you can do. I mean, we just saw the Punisher one shot. We're seeing animated stuff. We're seeing live action, all of that stuff. They've been doing it for many years. Finally, as a DC fan, it feels like, okay, if people came into DC Studios and they went, I want to make Plastic Man, it will work. I want to make, Chip and Gnort, the animal looking Green Lanterns. It will work. I want to make Clayface. I want to make, these rated R.
I got a strong take on Justice League Dark or Swamp Thing. Yeah.
It will work. Everything will work because this finally feels like the DC universe. So cannot be happier about that. I'm just so almost like relieved, like finally, okay. Yeah. Now it's just, we're along for the ride, very patiently waiting for whatever's, they're going to cook up. But like, we're set. The table is set and it's finally like the right table. So yeah.
Agreed. Looking forward to this one. But guys, of course, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about this second teaser trailer compared to the first one? And what are your expectations for this show and what you think it's going to do? And now knowing the few little bit more tidbits that we know about the timelines and stuff, that I think also adds a whole new layer of discussion and possibilities for the show. But let us know your thoughts. Check out everything else we're watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
That's why we are watching.